Okay, this book is dedicated to Mrs. V-Dub because Mrs. V-Dub and Room 28 are working on their fractured fairy tales. So when I saw this in the library, I thought, oh, they'll probably love this. And this book is called Honestly, Red Riding Hood Was Rotten. The story of Little Red Riding Hood as told by the wolf. So I wonder what kind of story we're about to have here. Who's written this? By Trisha Shaskan. Here we go. Chomp, chomp. Oh, I'm sorry. I was just finishing my lunch. My name's Wolf. Big Bad Wolf. You may have heard the story of Little Red Riding Hood about a girl and her granny. Seems everyone has. My tale is different. Did I say tail? I meant tail. Once upon a time, I ran out of food. Completely. The cupboards were bare, the freezer too, and I'd eaten every last vegetable and fruit in the garden. Every one. Other wolves might have lunched on a little forest critters, chipmunks, bunnies, squirrels, but I'm a vegetarian. That's right, I don't eat meat. Well, I try not to. I love apples, Honeycrisp, Pink Lady, Golden, Delicious, any kind really, but sadly, it was a long time until apple harvest. I hadn't eaten in weeks. My stomach growled and howled. It moaned and groaned. It even roared. Then my nose took over. Sniff, sniff. I took a whiff. What was it? A girl? Sniff, sniff. I took a whiff. What was it? Cake? Butter? In this forest? I had to investigate. And there she was, Little Red Riding Hood. She looked as plump and as juicy as a big sweet apple. Little Red waved her cape. Isn't it pretty? She said. Yeah, I said. Aren't I pretty? She said. She was admiring herself in that puddle. Oh, hello. With this cape, she said, I'm even prettier than usual. Boy, someone sure was full of herself. My stomach growled. Little Red swirled a strand of hair. Mother says the cape looks grand with my skin. My skin shines like pearls. Or the meat of a ripe apple, I thought, licking my chops. Remember, I hadn't eaten in weeks. Time to chomp. But then Little Red said, I can't wait until Granny sees how pretty I am today. I'm bringing her cake and butter from my mother. My stomach howled. 2 meals, I thought. Granny for breakfast, Little Red for lunch, and cake and butter for dessert. Where does Granny live? I asked. Little Red pointed. Down there in the clearing, the brown house. I knew that house. I had a plan. Let's play a game, I said. Little Red smiled. I'm awesome at games. I bet you are, I said. You take this path, I'll take that path, and let's see who arrives at Granny's first. I will, she said. I'm the prettiest and the fastest. I bet you are, I said. My stomach moaned before it groaned. I ran. No one knows the forest like I do. I chose the shorter path. Sniff, sniff. I took a whiff. What was that? Apple air freshener? Tap, tap. I knocked on the door. Who's there? Called out a voice. Your granddaughter, I squeaked. I've brought you cake and butter from my mother. Doors open, Granny said. Granny tugged at her nightcap. Green, she said. Isn't it pretty? Pretty like a Granny Smith apple, I thought. Aren't I pretty? Granny said. You mustn't have heard the saying, the apple doesn't fall from far from the tree. Well, it's true. My stomach roared. What's that noise? Granny asked. Chomp, chomp. I had to eat her. She was no Macintosh apple, but not too bad. I still felt hungry. Tap, tap. Little Red knocked on the door. Who's there? I called out, calling into Granny's bed. Your granddaughter, Little Red said. I've brought you cake and butter from Mother. Doors open, I said. Little Red walked in and caught a glimpse of herself in the mirror. Oh, isn't my cake pretty, Granny? she said. Aren't I pretty? I clenched my teeth. Granny, Little Red said, what deep dark eyes I have. I said, the colour of apple seeds. Granny, what perfect ears I have. I said, shaped like sharply cut apple slices. Granny, she said, what pretty red lips I have. I said, red delicious. Granny, she said, what lovely skin I have. Ooh, no. Chomp, chomp. I ate her up. What can I say? Things look different when you're hungry. She was no Fuji or Crispin apple. In fact, to be honest, she was a bit rotten. But she was better than nothing. Plus, I got dessert. Ooh, things to think about. Read a classic version of Little Red Riding Hood. Now look at the Big Bad Wolf's version of the story. List some things that happen in the classic version that didn't happen in Wolf's version. Then list some things that happened in Wolf's version that didn't happen in the classic. How are the two versions different? If it had been apple season, do you think Wolf would have eaten Little Red and her grandma? Why or why not? The classic version of Little Red Riding Hood is told from an invisible narrator's point of view, but Wolf's story is from his point of view. Which point of view do you think is more truthful? How would other fairy tales change if they were told from another point of view? For example, how would Cinderella's story change if one of her stepsisters told it? What if the baby bear and Goldilocks and the three bears told that story? Write your own version of a classic fairy tale from a new point of view. Ooh, there's more books in the series. That's cool. Maybe we can try and find those ones.